on CBS. This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow. The following message has been transmitted by request of the Shawnee County Emergency Management and the Rossville Fire Rescue. At 2:15 a.m. Central Daylight Time, thousands of distraughtly alarming calls to 911 were made. 2 Union Pacific freight trains suffered a fiery head-on collision at Rossville. This is near the Topeka area. 2 crewmen were confirmed to being killed instantly. At this time, the NTSB has begun an investigation to what caused the crash. Stay tuned for further updates. Hazardous materials warning. The following message has been transmitted by request from the Shawnee County Emergency Management and the Nuclear Emergency Search Team. Confirmed reports of hazardous materials were found on both freight trains. The first train's cargo consisted of, but not alphabetically followed, are nitrocellulose, red and white phosphorus, calcium carbide, gasoline, diesel fuel, propane, toxic gel explosives, flammable explosives, spontaneously combustible explosives, detonating cords, PETN, glycerin, sodium chloride, chlorine gas, sodium bromide, yellow cake, nitric and hydrochloride acid, sodium hydroxide, and dry ice. Anyone within a 131-mile radius are advised to evacuate immediately. Stay tuned for further updates. The second train's cargo was also listed in the derailment. Its cargo contains, but not alphabetically listed, are the following items: combustive neuron, sodium peroxide, sulfuric acid, barium azide, mercury fulminate, RDX, hyperbolic rockets, hyperbolic missiles, a 32-foot 64-pound warhead, flash and concussion grenades, uranium-238, hypodermic needles containing tuberculosis and dysentery infections, gasohol, kerosene, paint remover, zinc powder, cords of kindling, waterproof matches, electric fire starters, asbestos, boron, carbon disulfide, detonator boosters, black powder, gunpowder, and aluminum powder. Anyone within a 131-mile radius are advised to mandatorily evacuate immediately. Stay tuned for further updates. Emergency update. Additional items were confirmed in the listing. Theory include zirconium, wood staining, mineral oil, fireworks, magnesium, ethanol, green phosphorus, zinc powder, airbags for motor vehicles, ammonium nitrate, Matislav cocktails, and other insensitive explosives. Repeating again, anyone within a 131-mile radius are advised to evacuate immediately. Stay tuned for further updates. Programming has been discontinued for duration of this message. Civil danger continues for the Rossville area. The following message has been transmitted by request from the Union Pacific Railroad, Operation Lifesaver, the NEST, the NTSB, and the FRA. The area has been deemed unsafe for ground crews to extinguish the fires of this wreck. All aerial firefighting equipment is permitted as long as water is used sparingly. Due to the violent reaction of calcium carbide, water will not be used for the hosing of the fire. Only red sand will be used for firefighting capabilities. Stay tuned for further updates. Shelter-in-place warning in effect until further notice. The following message has been transmitted by request from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the National Security Agency, the Federal Protective Service, and the Central Intelligence Agency. A NEST commander has volunteered to disarm the warhead at the crash site. The chance of detonation is high. Fallout shelters have been sent around the area. Fallout is a product of nuclear attacks. Prolonged exposure to fallout will result in certain death. Fallout spreads 1 minute after impact. Tune to 1240 FM on your radio dial for your time in the fallout shelter. Stay tuned for updates as the story develops. Emergency update. The warhead has been fully disarmed and detonation capabilities are permanently disabled. However, the chance of an actual BLEAV are still high. Remain in your shelters until an all-clear has been given by appropriate authorities. Locations undergoing lockdown include Topeka, Kansas. This includes the Santa Fe main line between here and Mesa, Arizona. Oneida, Kansas. Gibbons Junction, Nebraska. St. Ann, Missouri. Lenexa, Kansas. Lenora, Kansas. Xenia, Kansas. Jamesport, Missouri. Rocky Mount, Missouri. Phillips, Nebraska. And Shelby, Nebraska. Anyone within these areas are to evacuate immediately for your own safety. An explosion is imminent. Evacuate now. We are very sorry to interrupt your news programming. This is an urgent emergency message from the United States government. This message has been transmitted by request from the United States government. This is not a test. An explosion has occurred at Rossville, Kansas. 16 people were reported injured from the blast from 3rd and 4th degree burns. 2 others confirmed to have critical injuries were airlifted to intensive care units for observation. The mushroom cloud of flames shot 900 plus feet into the air. Damages are not yet confirmed, so stay calm. Stay tuned on your 1240 AM powered radio dial for additional coverage of this developing story. The calcium carbide and other materials have been fully decontaminated. All aerial fire units, you are now allowed to use water to extinguish the remaining fire. The NTSB has confirmed that critical sleep deprivation was the prime suspect on one of the freight trains involved in this fatal crash. However, an all-clear hasn't been given yet to anyone in the shelter. Remain in your shelters for your own safety and others. Do not open windows as your chances of inhalation exposure is extremely high. Do not open doors unless it is from a National Guardsman. Refrain from using air conditioning as this will promote electrical fires. Use wet towels to seal in cracks to prevent exposure of toxic smoke suffocation. Stay tuned for further updates. A surprisingly report was found that locomotives 3616, 6129, and 7519 were the only locomotives totaled in the wreck. 9241, 8599, 3696, and 6010 are being sent to the repair shops for overhaul. The all-clears have not yet been given to anyone in the shelters, so stay calm. Repeating again earlier, critical sleep deprivation for missing a red signal was confirmed as the culprit to this crash. Stand by for this message. All EAS systems transmitting this message are fully sent requested by government officials. Tune to your stations on your area for later coverage. Do not use telephones unless you are in critical need of emergency. Message will continue in 12 minutes. We interrupt your news programming. This is a national emergency. Urgent instructions will follow. This message has been transmitted by request from the Emergency Alert System transmitting to the United States government. This is not a test. An all-clear signal has been given to the members in the fallout shelter. The signal was issued around 2:37 p.m. Central Standard Time. The explosion that occurred at around 6:11 a.m. Central Daylight Time has been subsided. Thank you for your cooperation during this emergency. We will return back to CBS for normal programming.